My name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 32 years old, and I never thought the house where I grew up would become the reason my own family turned against me. For 27 years, that house was home. It was where my grandmother taught me to bake, where my father used to fix things in the garage, where my mother measured my height against the kitchen wall every birthday, and where my brother Jason and I spent countless summer afternoons fighting over the television. Then Grandma died, and 3 weeks after her funeral, my mother called me. "Natalie, you need to come home." Something about her voice immediately made me nervous. "What happened?" "We sold the house." I froze. "You sold Grandma's house?" "Our house," she corrected. I knew right then that something was wrong, because my mother had just sold the one thing she knew I would never willingly give up. And she had done it without telling me. When I arrived, a large for sale sign was already gone from the front yard. Instead, a moving truck was parked in the driveway. Jason was carrying boxes through the front door. I stared at him. "What are you doing?" He smiled. "Moving in." My stomach dropped. "Moving in where?" He laughed. "Here." I turned toward Mom. "You sold the house to Jason?" She nodded. It made sense. "For who?" "For the family." I looked at Jason. "How much did you pay?" He shrugged. "Mom gave me a great deal." A great deal. That was exactly how my family had always treated Jason. Everything was a deal when it came to him: his college tuition, his first car, his business loan, his wedding, and apparently now Grandma's house. I looked at Mom. "You didn't even tell me." "You live 2 hours away, Natalie. Jason is here. He needs the house." I couldn't believe it. I spent half my childhood in this house, and Jason spent all of his. "That doesn't mean you can just sell it to him." Mom crossed her arms. "It was my house." I almost answered. Then I remembered something. Grandma had always told me, "One day, this house will be yours." At the time, I thought she meant emotionally. I didn't realize she had meant it literally. 3 weeks before Grandma died, she asked me to visit her alone. She was sitting at the dining table with a folder beside her. "Natalie," she said, "I want you to keep something safe." She handed me the folder. Inside was an old legal document. I didn't understand it at first. Grandma explained that years earlier, she had transferred ownership of the house to me through a legal deed. She had done it because she wanted to make sure the property stayed with someone who would actually preserve it. I was stunned. "But Mom thinks this is her house." Grandma smiled. "She thinks that because I never told her." "Why not?" "Because your mother would give it to Jason." I laughed nervously. "You're serious?" "Completely." Then she squeezed my hand. "I want you to keep the original deed somewhere safe. Don't tell anyone until you need to." I promised, and I kept my promise. After Grandma's funeral, I placed the deed in a safe deposit box. I hadn't thought about it since, until Mom told me she had sold the house. I didn't tell Mom about the deed. Not yet. Instead, I asked, "Who bought it?" Jason answered, "I did." "Did you already sign everything?" "Yep." He looked proud. "Mom handled all the paperwork." I nodded slowly. "Congratulations." Jason smiled. He had no idea what was coming. I left without arguing. That night I called an attorney. I showed her the deed. She studied it carefully. Then she looked at me. "Natalie, this appears to be a valid transfer of ownership. So Mom couldn't sell it?" "Not if you legally own the property." My heart started pounding. What should I do? "Don't confront them yet. Let me verify everything." I agreed. For the next several days, I stayed quiet. Then my attorney confirmed it. The deed had been legally recorded. I was the owner. My mother had sold a property she no longer owned. And Jason had bought a house that legally belonged to me. 2 days later, Mom called. "Jason is moving in permanently this weekend." I said nothing. She continued. "I want you to stop causing problems." "What problems?" "You've been telling people that the house should be yours." I was stunned. "I haven't told anyone anything." "Jason says you're jealous." I almost laughed. "Of course he does. Natalie, this is your brother. You need to accept that he deserves the house." I finally asked, "Why?" "Because he's family." "So am I." She became silent. Then she said, "You've always been selfish." Those words hurt. Even after everything, hearing them from my mother still hurt. But this time, I didn't defend myself. I simply said, "Okay." Then I hung up. That weekend, I returned to the house. Jason was standing in the driveway with 2 friends. He smiled when he saw me. "Come to say goodbye?" "No," he laughed. "You really need to let this go." I walked toward the front door. He stepped in front of me. You can't just walk inside. I looked at him. I can. This is my house. No, he laughed. Yes, it is. I pulled a folder from my bag. Actually, it isn't. Jason's smile disappeared. I handed him a copy of the deed. He stared at it, then looked at me. What is this? The deed. He shook his head. That's impossible. Read it. He did. His face slowly changed. This says your name? Yes, but Mom sold me the house. She shouldn't have. Jason called Mom immediately. She arrived 20 minutes later. The moment she saw the document, her face went pale. Natalie. I held up my hand. Don't. She looked confused. Grandma gave me the house. She never told me. She didn't have to. Mom stared at me. You knew? Yes. How long? Since before she died. Mom looked devastated. You kept this from me? I nodded. You sold my house without telling me. She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time in my life, she had no excuse. Jason started yelling. This isn't fair. I looked at him. You paid Mom for something she didn't own. I used my savings. Then you need to talk to her. He turned toward Mom. You told me it was yours. She started crying. I thought it was. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered how easily she had decided that I didn't deserve a say. My attorney arrived shortly afterward. She explained everything to Mom and Jason. The property belonged to me. Jason had no legal right to occupy it without my permission. The sale between him and Mom would have to be resolved separately. Jason looked at me. What are you going to do? I looked around the house. At the walls covered with family photographs. At the kitchen where Grandma taught me to bake. At the staircase where my father had measured my height. Then I answered, I'm keeping it. Jason looked furious. You're kicking me out? No, I paused. I'm giving you 30 days to move out. Mom stared at me. You would do that to your brother? I looked directly at her. You did this to me. Silence filled the room. 30 days later, Jason moved out. Mom moved into a small apartment nearby. The family stopped speaking to me for several months. Some relatives called me selfish. Others said I should have given the house to Jason. But I didn't listen. I renovated the kitchen. I repaired Grandma's old garden. I painted the bedroom where I had grown up. Then I framed the original deed and placed it above my desk. Not because I wanted to celebrate winning, because I wanted to remember something. Family love should never require you to surrender your dignity. 6 months later, Mom came to visit. She stood on the porch. I opened the door. She looked tired. I owe you an apology. I said nothing. She continued. I spent years believing Jason needed more than you. I looked down. You did. I thought because you were independent, you didn't need anything from us. I finally looked at her. I didn't need you to give me more. Her eyes filled with tears. I needed you to treat me equally. She nodded. I know. We stood quietly. Then she said, Can I come inside? I stepped aside. Yes. She walked into the house. She looked at the old photographs. Then she touched the kitchen counter. This was your grandmother's favorite place. I know. Mom smiled sadly. She would be proud of you. For the first time in a long time, I believed her. I don't know what the future will look like with my family. Maybe Jason and I will eventually repair our relationship. Maybe Mom and I will become closer. Maybe we won't. But I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean surrendering your boundaries. And standing up for yourself doesn't make you selfish. My mother thought she could sell my childhood home to my brother because she believed I would stay quiet. She was wrong. Because Grandma had already protected the one thing she knew mattered to me. Not just the house, but the choice to decide what happened to my own life. And every time I walk through that front door, I remember the lesson Grandma left me. Sometimes the people who know you best will underestimate you the most. They thought I would walk away empty-handed. Instead, I walked back into the home they tried to take from me. And this time, I had the deed.